If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. All right, Browns fans, let's talk about something that feels almost mythical at this point. The sight of right tackle Jack Conklin actually suiting up and playing meaningful football for Cleveland. Yeah, you heard that right. After what seems like an endless carousel of injuries, setbacks, and heartbreaking early exits, Conklin was finally back on the field this week. And let's just say, the man reminded everyone exactly why he was brought here in the first place. This wasn't just another player making a quiet return from injury. This was a veteran warrior stepping back into battle, on foreign soil no less, as the Browns took their talents across the pond to London. And though the scoreboard didn't go Cleveland's way, a tight 21-17 loss to the Minnesota Vikings, Conklin's individual performance told a completely different story. It was sharp, disciplined, and downright reassuring for a team that's been desperate for stability up front. To really appreciate what Jack Conklin pulled off, we have to rewind a bit. This guy's tenure with the Browns has been a roller coaster, and not the fun kind. When Cleveland signed him before the 2020 season, the expectation was that he'd anchor the right side of the line and help power the run game for years to come. And when he's been healthy, he's done exactly that. The problem? The word healthy has been more of a wish than a reality. He played 15 games in 2020 and looked like the all-pro he once was in Tennessee. But then 2021 hit, and with it came another devastating injury that limited him to just 7 games. The following year, he managed to push through 14 contests, showing flashes of his old self before another cruel twist of fate struck in 2023, an ACL tear right out of the gate, basically ending his season before it ever began. Fast forward to 2024, and the man fought his way back, suiting up for 12 games. But even that comeback came with its share of bumps and bruises. It's been a constant cycle of rehab, recovery, and return, and yet every time Conklin steps on that field, he proves his resilience all over again. So here we are in 2025, and for one brief, glorious moment, Browns fans got to see their veteran tackle doing what he does best, setting the edge, protecting the pocket, and moving bodies like it's second nature. In his first game back this season, after missing 4 straight due to yet another injury setback, Conklin didn't just survive, he excelled. The Browns had a tough draw, facing a surging Vikings team that's been finding its rhythm on both sides of the ball. And to make matters more complicated, Cleveland had a rookie quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, making his first ever NFL start. Talk about pressure. A struggling offense, a first-time signal caller, and a defense hungry to test him. That's a recipe for disaster on most Sundays. But Conklin had other plans. According to Next Gen Stats, the veteran tackle dropped back a total of 36 times in pass protection, and across all those reps, he allowed just 1 pressure and 0 sacks. 0. That's as clean a performance as you could ask for, especially from someone who hasn't played meaningful football in over a month. Think about that for a second. 1 pressure and 36 dropbacks. That's elite-level pass protection no matter how you slice it. But it's especially impressive when you factor in the circumstances. This wasn't a home game with the Dawg Pound roaring behind them. This was in London, on unfamiliar turf, with jet lag, travel fatigue, and a brand-new quarterback trying to find his rhythm. And Conklin stood there, calm and collected, holding his ground like a stone wall. It's the kind of performance that doesn't always show up in highlight reels, but coaches and teammates notice it. You could see it in the way Gabriel carried himself as the game went on. A bit more confident, a bit more poised. That's what a veteran tackle brings, peace of mind. Now, don't get me wrong. This offensive line is still far from perfect. Injuries have been the story of their season so far. While the interior has remained steady with Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, and Ethan Posick doing their usual reliable work, the tackles have been a different story altogether. DeJuan Jones, the massive left tackle who was showing real promise, went down with a knee injury that required surgery, landing him on injured reserve. Since then, the Browns have been forced to shuffle the deck, trying out a rotation that's included Cornelius Lucas, KT Leviston, and Thayer Munford Jr., whom they recently acquired. They even made a move to bring in Cam Robinson from the Houston Texans. But for now, the coaching staff has decided to stick with Leviston as the starter on the left side, at least until Robinson proves he's ready to take over full-time. That instability at the tackle spots has been a big reason why Cleveland's offense has struggled to find its rhythm this year. Consistency on the offensive line isn't just about raw talent. It's about chemistry, timing, and trust. When players are in and out of the lineup, it disrupts everything. Quarterbacks start to feel ghosts in the pocket. Running backs hesitate. Play callers get conservative. That's why having someone like Conklin back is such a huge deal. Even if he's not 100% just yet, his experience and communication bring a level of order to the chaos. He knows the system. He knows how to adjust protections, recognize blitzes, and set the tone in the trenches. It's no coincidence that Cleveland's offense looked noticeably more organized in this game, even if the final score didn't reflect a win. But let's be real, it wasn't a flawless outing for the line as a whole. KT Leviston, still learning the ropes, had a rough day. A couple of costly penalties killed drives that might have swung the game, and the rookie quarterback, Gabriel, still ended up taking 2 sacks. That's the kind of growing pain you expect from a makeshift offensive line trying to piece itself together. Yet, amidst all that, Conklin's steadiness stood out like a beacon. When you turned on the film, you didn't see him panicking or getting beat off the edge. You saw him keeping a firm base, locking in with proper hand placement, and making those subtle adjustments mid-play that separate the good tackles from the great ones. For a guy who's been through as many injuries as he has, that's nothing short of impressive. And that's really the bigger story here, Jack Conklin's resilience. Football's a brutal game, especially in the trenches. Every play is a collision. Every rep is a test of pain tolerance. And for someone who's battled as many serious injuries as Conklin, just being out there takes an incredible amount of mental toughness. You could see it in his body language, that mix of focus and quiet intensity. He's not the loudest guy on the field, but his presence alone lifts those around him. When a veteran who's been through it all walks back into that huddle, it changes the energy. Younger players take notice. The line communicates better. The offense feels safer. That's what leadership looks like, and that's what the Browns have been missing while he's been gone. Moving forward, the big question for Cleveland is simple. Can Conklin stay healthy? Because if he can, this offensive line suddenly looks a whole lot more dangerous. Once Cam Robinson is up to speed and ready to start, the Browns could finally field a pair of experienced tackles on both edges, giving their rookie quarterback a real chance to develop without constantly running for his life. Combine that with the steady trio inside, Bitonio, Teller, and Posick, and you've got the makings of one of the more complete lines in the AFC. And that matters, especially for a team still searching for offensive identity. The Browns have the defense to compete with anyone. They just need their offense to keep pace. Conklin's return might not make headlines the way a big touchdown or flashy play does, but make no mistake, it's one of the most important developments for this team all season. Offensive line play rarely gets the glory, but it wins football games. It's the foundation everything else is built on. Watching Conklin move, anchor, and execute at a high level again should give Browns fans a lot of hope, not just for next week, but for the long haul. Because when he's healthy, Cleveland's offense simply operates differently. The pocket's cleaner. The run lanes are wider. The playbook opens up. And for a team that's been clinging to next man up all year long, getting one of their best men back feels like a turning point. At the end of the day, this was more than just a game for Jack Conklin. It was a statement. A statement that he's still got it. That all the rehab, all the frustration, all the time spent watching from the sidelines wasn't for nothing. The Browns may have lost on the scoreboard, but they gained something far more valuable. Confidence that their offensive line can still be the force it was built to be. And for a fan base that's seen its fair share of heartbreaks, seeing number 78 back out there, battling, thriving, and protecting a young quarterback felt like a win in itself. Because in football, it's never just about the box score. It's about moments like this, moments of comeback, redemption, and perseverance. And on this Sunday in London, Jack Conklin gave Browns fans exactly that, a reminder that even in a season full of setbacks, there's still room for resilience. As the Browns fly back home and gear up for the next challenge, one thing's for sure. If Conklin keeps playing like this, they'll have a fighting chance in every game. And for Cleveland, that's all anyone's ever asked for. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Nobody saw this coming. Absolutely nobody. In a move that sent shockwaves across the entire NFL landscape, Cleveland Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski has reportedly stepped down from his position, leaving fans, players, and even insiders in utter disbelief. The man who helped redefine the Browns' identity, who brought stability and credibility to a franchise long considered a punchline, has walked away, and right now, the football world can't stop talking about it. This isn't just a story about a resignation. It's about what's brewing beneath the surface, about the hidden pressures, the behind-the-scenes tension, and maybe even the feeling that something in Cleveland was about to crack. If you followed the Browns at all in the last few years, you know Kevin Stefanski wasn't just another coach. He was the guy, the calm, collected, methodical leader who managed to turn chaos into order. He arrived in Cleveland during one of the franchise's most unstable periods, a revolving door of coaches, quarterbacks, and lost seasons. But Stefanski brought a sense of control, a sense of purpose. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He was the type of coach who believed in systems, discipline, and quiet confidence. And for a while, that formula worked like magic. The Browns started winning. They started believing. They even made the playoffs and pulled off that unforgettable victory over the Steelers, a night that felt like an exorcism of 2 decades of misery. But now, years later, the same man who was hailed as the savior of Cleveland football has suddenly decided to step down. And the question that everyone's asking is, why? What could drive Kevin Stefanski, a coach still relatively young, still respected, still seen as a rising mind in the league, to just walk away like this? There's no official explanation yet. No press conference. No farewell video. Just a stunning, almost surreal announcement that feels more like a rumor than reality. And yet, it's real. Reporters close to the Browns organization are confirming it. The locker room is said to be in shock. Players found out through their phones, scrolling social media, jaws dropping, unable to process what just happened. Insiders are whispering that this wasn't a sudden decision. According to people close to the situation, Stefanski had been growing frustrated for months. Frustrated with the constant scrutiny. Frustrated with front office interference. Frustrated with the immense pressure of coaching a team that carries not just the expectations of a city, but the emotional baggage of generations of heartbreak. Cleveland isn't just a football town, it's a football obsession. Every win feels like redemption, every loss like betrayal. And when you're the head coach, you're at the center of all that emotion, all that noise. Some say it wasn't just about football. Some say Stefanski's life outside the game has been taking a toll. Long hours, stress, family sacrifices. The NFL life looks glamorous from the outside, but it's a grind that eats away at even the strongest minds. Others are speculating that there may have been deeper disagreements behind closed doors, perhaps with the general manager, perhaps even with ownership. There have been quiet murmurs for months that not everyone in the building saw eye to eye on the team's offensive direction, especially with the ongoing questions surrounding Deshaun Watson. Ah yes, Deshaun Watson. You can't talk about the Browns' recent seasons without bringing up that name. The controversial trade, the massive guaranteed contract, the endless off-field drama. It all brought a kind of media storm that never really went away. And through it all, Stefanski had to play diplomat, strategist, and crisis manager all at once. Some insiders believe that the Watson situation, more than anything, drained Stefanski's energy. It turned every press conference into a minefield, every game plan into a test of loyalty. How do you build a winning culture when every week you're dealing with noise that has nothing to do with football? Still, to think that Stefanski would actually quit, that's what's truly shocking. He didn't seem like the quitting type. He was the steady hand in the storm, the guy who kept his cool no matter how chaotic things got. But maybe that's exactly why it hurts so much for Cleveland fans right now. It's like watching the most dependable person in your life suddenly walk out the door without a word. There's a collective heartbreak across the city, the kind you can almost feel in the air. Talk radio is exploding with theories. Twitter, or X, as we now call it, is on fire, and fans are trying to make sense of the unthinkable. Could this be a temporary break? Could Stefanski be stepping away for personal reasons, with plans to return later? Some close to him are hinting that this might not be the end of his coaching career, maybe just the end of his time in Cleveland. The NFL carousel spins fast, and coaches who've proven themselves like Stefanski usually don't stay unemployed for long. But that raises another question. Did the Browns push him out, even subtly? Was this a mutual decision dressed up as a resignation? There are whispers that internal meetings after recent losses had turned tense, that ownership wanted changes in offensive philosophy, that perhaps Stefanski's calm demeanor was being interpreted as lack of urgency. If that's true, it's tragic, because what Stefanski brought to Cleveland was exactly what they had needed for decades: stability. This was a franchise that burned through coaches like matchsticks. Freddie Kitchens, Hugh Jackson, Mike Pettine, you name it. The Browns had seen them all come and go. Stefanski was different. He gave fans hope that the revolving door had finally stopped spinning. He built a culture. He got the team to buy in. He helped turn Myles Garrett into a defensive monster, helped Nick Chubb become a superstar, and managed to keep the locker room intact even through chaos. And now, all that progress feels like it's hanging by a thread. Who takes over now? Does the front office promote an assistant? Or do they go hunting for a big name? Already, rumors are swirling that names like Jim Harbaugh, Ben Johnson, and even former NFL coaches might be in the mix. But let's be real, replacing Stefanski isn't just about finding another play caller. It's about rebuilding the trust, the chemistry, and the sense of direction that Stefanski embodied. The Browns are once again facing an identity crisis, the very thing they thought they had finally escaped. As the hours go by, more details are starting to trickle out. Bits and pieces of conversations, text messages from inside sources, fragments of a story that still doesn't fully make sense. Apparently, Stefanski informed ownership late last night, catching even some of his closest staff members off guard. The tone was reportedly respectful, but firm. He thanked the organization, expressed gratitude for the players, but made it clear that his decision was final. There was no shouting, no drama, just a quiet end to what had been one of the most stable coaching tenures in Browns history. And that's perhaps the most Stefanski way for it to end. Calm, measured, and devastatingly composed. Fans are reacting with a mix of sadness and confusion. Some are angry, calling it betrayal. Others are heartbroken but understanding, recognizing the impossible pressure that comes with coaching in Cleveland. And there's a growing sense of dread that this might be the start of yet another dark chapter. Another painful reboot for a team that just can't seem to catch a break. Because if Kevin Stefanski couldn't make it work, who possibly can? Still, there's something strangely poetic about the whole situation. Stefanski came to Cleveland as the quiet man who brought order to chaos. And now, he leaves the same way he came, quietly, without spectacle, without excuses. Maybe that's his final message to the team, to the fans, to the NFL. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness, it's clarity. Maybe he saw something we didn't. Maybe he realized that the grind had consumed enough of his life. Or maybe, deep down, he just knew that his time in Cleveland had run its course. Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain: this story isn't over. It's just beginning. Because when a coach of Kevin Stefanski's caliber leaves like this, it sends ripples far beyond Cleveland. Other teams will be watching. Other owners will be making calls. And for the Browns, the road ahead just got a whole lot bumpier. Once again, the city that lives and breathes football finds itself asking the same painful question it has asked too many times before. What now? Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!